So those of you that know me know that I pretty much gave up on my marriage. And I said I was done, and I even kind of stepped out and ventured out into talking to other people and all this. And the cliche is the grass greener? Man, it is not. Can I just tell you that I feel like in general social media has ruined dating. For the simple fact that if I do something that you disapprove of or that hurts your feelings or you don't like, there's probably 10 other women in your inbox waiting to be spoken to. And 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to reach out because you're angry, upset, bored, don't feel worthy, respected, all those things. And so for me, it's just, I almost want to get off of social media just so my husband doesn't have to worry about things like that. But, just know this, that I will be staying put. And I will be fighting for what I promised to God. Because, there ain't nothing out there. There's just not. I mean, stay home, stay where you're at, make your family work. That's all I got to say for today on this glorious Sunday.
She said she was basically done with her marriage, and there's a lot of women who, choose that route. And a lot of them, they leave for real, and they don't have the opportunity to go back, and they make that decision, and a lot of them end up regretting it. I think that it's interesting how women, can decide they're, done with their husbands, and something about the marriage I just don't like. I feel like it doesn't serve me. I just don't feel happy in this relationship, so I'm just going to leave, or I'm going to go out here and I'm going to talk to other men, or I'm going to go get some attention, because they do think the grass is greener on the other side. They do think that they have better options. They do think that they're just going to find this perfect man that's so much better than what they already have. And if they get the opportunity to go out like she did and experience what's out there, some of them realize really quickly that it ain't what you think. And in her particular case, she has a husband who was willing to accept her back and keep her. Most men, usually move on. But in this case, she's able to, work it out with her husband in spite of going out there to see what else was out there and realizing quickly that it was not for her. Luckily she had a husband who was still there to say, okay, I'm here. I still got your back, because most men won't do that. But for the women who don't have that, who go out here and make that choice, walk away from their families, walk away from their husbands, thinking that the grass is greener, they realize eventually that they had the best that they ever was going to get. You had the best scenario that you was going to get. But unfortunately, women don't realize that until it's too late, until they've made the decision, till they've gone through the Pookie and Ray Rays 1,000 times after leaving their husbands, until they've been ran through by these different guys who just won't take them seriously. These men who just see them as a fun time and that's it. And then they send you packing. Then these women start to realize that the man that they have, him being boring, and, he's not what you think, thought he should be, and he's just not doing it for you. You realize you end up in a state of depression. You end up in a situation that you can't recover from, because you realize you made the mistake. You walked away from the best that you ever was going to get, thinking not realizing that you are not as valuable to the streets as you think you are. The most value that you was going to get was from the man who married you, because he saw enough value in you to want to marry you and want to be with you and want to build a life with you, but you took it for granted. You didn't see the importance of that. You thought it was nothing, and that you're so special that you could just leave and walk away from this, and that you're going to get all these other opportunities of men who going to come in and say, yeah, I see the value in you too. And I see the value in you, and I want to marry you. No, and then usually it doesn't happen that way. Typically it doesn't, because those men going to look at you too and ask, okay, what happened in your relationship, your previous relationship? And on top of that, especially if you have kids, okay, what happened? You walked away. You broke up your home. How dare you? They're not going to tell it to you like that. That's what they're thinking, though. How could you walk away and break your home up like that? See, women and men are very different. Men look at love and relationships in a much more serious way than women. Women look at it as it's nothing. They could just go get another one because they've been privileged their whole lives. Most women, they've been accustomed to men approaching them and shooting their shot at them. So it gives them this idea that they have this endless amounts of opportunities when they really don't when it comes to dating. So they feel like, oh, it's just easy. I can get rid of this one and get another one, no problem. And I can get somebody better and I can get everything that I want from a man. And then when you realize it's just not happening like that, you're confused and you're lost. And then now you're depressed on antidepressants because you don't know how to cope with this. You've never had to deal with this. But see, men, on the other hand, understand that they don't have endless amounts of options. They realize, hey, if I find a good thing, if I find a good woman, let me stick with her. If we're talking about good men, I'm not talking about your Pookies and your Ray Rays who's just busting it open. We're not talking about them. We talking about the good men who want to be husbands, who want to be fathers, who want to have relationships, who want to be in committed relationships. Those men, when they find what they want, they done. They don't need to go to the streets. They don't need to do all of these other things. And far too often, women keep equating these Pookie bottom of the barrel men who just pumping and dumping anything and don't want serious relationships to the men who do. It's a different type of guy. Everybody is not the same. So when a man finds a wife, a good thing, he tends to hold on to. He don't want to walk away. He's not looking for better. He has what he wants and he's content. But women, on the other hand, lose interest. They start to wander, and now you want something else, and now you think because you've had options in the past that your options are still endless, and you can go out and just find something better. And when you don't, it's like a shock to your system. Well, wow, why can't I? And then typically what happens is you walk away from your husband goes and find him another woman. He ends up getting remarried, and you still are single, and now you're mad because he's moved on and he's happy. And you're still out here by yourself, just searching. So I think it's interesting when I see women who, realize that the grass is not always green on the other side, and that they, what they have is good enough, and that there is no better and more, vastly better options. If you make a choice and you choose someone, stick with that and live your life, and you choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice. You choose to be happy with what you chose and with the person you made these commitments and these agreements and the person you committed these vows to love and cherish them, and to the end. Stick with your vows, honor your vows, because it's not always green on the other side. Now, I always say, listen, anything is possible. I always put that in there because there are some situations where people find love again, and they're happy. It could happen. It's probably a small percentage of people that are able to pull off what I would say is that people would consider impossible. That is not a vast majority of people who are going to get these outcomes that they want every single time. So I wouldn't hold on to that. I would, evaluate what is more likely and move accordingly. So I would always say to women, listen, if you're not in men, if you're not in an abusive relationship, if you're not in something that is toxic and abusive, you just bored and you think you can, you want a little razzle dazzle and you trying to look for some fun and your husband is just not giving it to you, figure it out. Go to therapy. Find a way to create some fun in your life, because walking away from a person that loves you and cares for you, it's very risky to walk away thinking that you're going to find that again in the same way or a better way, in a way that you think is better. A lot of times, and once again, this is not an assumption. A lot of women have made these mistakes and they're crying and they're bitter about it. And they become angry at the man as if he made that choice. No, he didn't make the choice. You did. You chose to walk away from him. He didn't walk away from you. So you can't put it on him. You didn't want to work on the issues in the marriage. You thought it would be better to just walk away, and you would walk into a whole nother situation where the man is a superhero in your favor. And when you don't get that, now you're bitter and angry and it's the man's fault. Think really hard before you walk away from something that is good, but you have some issues that you refuse to resolve and you think it's the man's fault. And then you go out here and you try to look and try to replicate that on a much bigger scale. And when it doesn't happen, you're confused and disturbed. So listen, look, I'm gonna leave it here. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below of this video. Comment, like, subscribe. to the channel. If you have not already, hit that bell to be notified when I upload new content, you guys. Chime in, keep the conversation going. I want to hear your thoughts on this one, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.